Ladies, gentlemen, and sentinels of all ages, this is Chrono Odyssey. For those who haven't seen the game before, this was first announced around 4 years ago now, looking extremely intriguing. After all, the premise of this game is it's going to be a new big MMO with very action RPG style combat, and the big unique hook of it all is that we have time manipulation powers. A multiplayer focused game with time manipulation as a staple of the combat. That's pretty interesting, right? But after this announcement was made, we then went a number of years with minimal new information as it was being worked on and polished up until we got a gameplay trailer a couple of years back, and then it was quiet again until a few months ago when it was announced there was a private focus group test that had been done with the game, and while there was of course an NDA tied to this, a non-disclosure agreement, everyone who took part in it seems to be saying it felt really good to play, and they were generally quite impressed. Since then we'd had some more silence, but as of just a couple of days ago, out of nowhere, a closed beta test was announced for this game. And with this, people have been flooding in to request access as quickly as possible, and so today we're here to do two main things. First, just to make sure that you're all aware about the closed beta test and how to get into it if you are interested, and then second, we will go over everything important to know about Chrono Odyssey that we've been told so far, so you know if it interests you to begin with. As for the closed beta test, you can sign up for this only on PC, and you have to do it through Steam. All it takes is going to the page for the game and then clicking the big green button. This closed beta test will not be available on consoles, but the game is planned to be releasing on consoles when it does come out, so that is worth being aware of. As for the timing of this, so far all we know is June 2025, so at some point next month. For what the beta includes, what we've been told so far through their official Discord server is that we will get to play through early main story quests, as well as 3 of the playable classes, which are the Swordsman, focused around multiple different types of swords, various kinds of them, with the ability to go a bit tankier with a sword and shield style as well. The Ranger, who is more focused, as you might guess, around ranged weaponry like bows, but also has access to a melee playstyle too, and the Berserker, who is your classic barbarian melee weapon bruiser type archetype that I always love playing around with personally. That said, we know of 6 classes that will be part of the full release for the game, which includes those 3 I just mentioned, as well as a Sorcerer for your heavy magic archetype, an Assassin for your faster daggery melee style combat, and then a Paladin, which I'm quite interested to see more of personally as an interesting hybrid of melee and magical combat. Every one of these 6 classes has multiple potential roles and playstyles within them, and a big part of the combat system in this game is that you can swap between multiple different weapon types even mid-combat, and every class seems to have access to at least 3 different weapon types that we've seen so far in trailers and other early information. An example being that the Swordsman has a sword and shield mode where they are much more tanky because you have access to the shield, but they can also swap to a big large greatsword to be much more pure damage. But I've also heard they have access to a straight up dual swords style of gameplay as well for more quick and aggressive combat. Ranger has the bow for a quicker option for its ranged combat, but also has access to a crossbow as an option, and also has a rapier for a more elegant style of melee combat than most of the other classes have. Berserker has a big two-handed great axe, but it also can swap to dual-wielding one-handed axes, and we haven't seen what Berserker's third weapon option could be yet, but I honestly really hope they just let you go like full-on punch style, just bare-hand boxing with it. For those who are just curious though for the other options as well for the classes that aren't in the beta, current knowledge is that the Sorcerer will swap between a staff as one option, a spellbook as a second option, and then a magical orb of some kind as the third option. The Assassin will swap between dual daggers as one option, a rifle, which is a fun concept for their second option, a full-on gun, and then we have also seen a character wielding a katana or a curved sword that people are assuming will be the Assassin's third option here. Then finally the Paladin swaps between mace with a big towering shield, a lance with a slightly smaller shield, or a big two-handed spear as its third option. As well, reports from the focus group test mentioned earlier are that these classes are not gender locked, and character customization is expected to be quite in-depth as well. well. This means that you can play whatever class you want and still have your character look exactly how you want them to, no matter how it is, and given that this is a South Korean MMO, I would expect the character customization to be quite in-depth and very varied. Now, with all that said, let's go over the gameplay itself a little bit more. The way that this game plays is very action RPG style. The weapon types that have shields can block attacks, of course. Everyone has access to a dodge mechanic that seemingly has invulnerability frames on it as well. And then we hit the big one, time manipulation. The big selling point of this game, the main reasoning for its namesake as well, is a device called the Chronotector. This is something that you'll be able to use to stop time and freeze enemies around you. You'll be able to use it to rewind time and even things like undoing death itself if you take a lethal hit. Or in other cases, you'll be able to use this to unleash a big attack and then just rewind to the state you were in beforehand so you can use that attack again if you want. This is probably the most intriguing part of the combat, and it's one that I'm very excited to see how it actually works a bit more, especially as in an MMO of all things, something that is always online and there will always be loads of other players around you. Time manipulation could be a very complex thing to make feel good, and in my mind, the short-term success of this game and the feeling of the combat itself essentially depends on how time manipulation has been implemented, and the long-term success of the game, as usual for an MMO, probably depends on the endgame, how fleshed out it is, and how enjoyable it is to play as well, of course. Some more interesting notes as well include the fact that the game will have PvP, or player versus player combat, not only PvE, so theoretically they will have to work out how to make time manipulation feel good, not only to use against enemies, but also have it not feel completely unfair when it's used against you too, because in theory it would have to be for player versus player. But for the most part, the focus on this game seems to be leaned more towards the PvE side of things for sure. As for activities that we are aware of so far, we know there is bounty hunting for specific powerful enemies that you have to locate and defeat. There are field bosses, which would theoretically just be larger bosses out in the open world that players can group up to defeat together. There are labyrinths, which are specific dungeons focused around time and then upgrading your Chronotector. There are the trial dungeons, which are your more standard dungeon type locations, loads of enemies, story, and a path forward with rewards at the end, and then time portals, which we don't know much about due to the NDAs. Aside from this, the game will have a dynamic weather system, day-night cycles, and the world will apparently have other changes due to temporal rifts, and you can have your game state be in a literal different point of time than another player's. We'll be exploring everything from medieval kingdoms to post-apocalyptic wastelands, and there will be things like crafting, there will be trading, and an economy built by player choices. There will be arena-based PvP, as well as larger-scale faction wars across the open world of the game. There will be a guild-type system, there will be some sort of personalized player housing system, and it's worth noting that we've been told there are procedurally generated dungeons. Not sure if this applies to all dungeons or only some of them, but this means they will be at least a little bit different each time you go through for some extra variety and replayability. Then of course, we have also heard that there will be raids of some sort come launch for the game for people that are more endgame and group content focused as well. As of right now, the closed beta itself is looking to be a very small sort of slice of the pie of what the game is. We will only get to see a limited amount of Chrono Odyssey, a limited number of the classes, and a limited amount of the story and the world. But personally, I'm quite excited, and given reports of over 500,000 people already signed up and requesting access for the closed beta, I'm probably not the only one. So if you've watched this video and found the game intriguing, I highly recommend going to request access now before the line to get in gets even longer. That just about does it for today, then everyone. A roundup of what we know about Chrono Odyssey as a game and why it's generating so much hype so quickly, as well as just spreading the information that the closed beta test is coming, and you have to go to the Steam page and hit the button to have a chance at getting in. Hopefully you've all enjoyed this video then, and let me know your own thoughts about this upcoming game in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.